Okay, so Gran Turismo Sport is a year old in the UK, at least anyway. Well, it was yesterday, so I wanted to have a look back at what kind of year it's been for Gran Turismo Sport. Now, when it launched, it was criticised, quite rightly in my opinion, for being fairly threadbare. Not a huge amount of tracks, not a massive selection of cars, no real single player or offline mode to speak of, and an online mode that was good, yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. It had a good framework in there for what it was being pushed out as, which was a competitive online multiplayer. Built very much in the iRacing mould. So a year on, what's changed? Well, they have, in all fairness, patched the living hell out of it over the course of the last year. We've got an awful lot of cars, we've got a reasonable number of tracks, although in my view the track count is still amazingly light. Particularly with a lot of tracks that have always featured heavily in the past in the GT series. You know, tracks like Silverstone, Spa, still completely absent. They've added in VR, and it's easily the best looking PSVR title, but it's extremely limited. It's more of a tech demo. You can do one-on-one races with a very poor AI, and you can time trial, which I'll be perfectly honest is principally what I do with it. And it looks very good, but in terms of overall functionality, I'd trade a bit of those looks for the kind of depth that you've got in Drive Club, or in particular Dirt Rally, as far as PSVR implementation goes. No weather, the tyre model is still relatively simple, the suspension model, particularly the dampers, is still relatively simple, but that said, it is easily the best physics engine that Gran Turismo has had to date, which is good to see. It's still behind the rest of the genre if it's looking to be a sim, but I'm not convinced it is looking to be a pure sim. I've never been convinced of that. I know some people get very upset if you suggest that, but there we go, that's their view, this is mine. It's a way behind the likes of Project Cars 2, it's definitely a ways behind the likes of Assetto Corsa in that regard, but I've never personally thought that's what it was aiming at. They have added a single player in, but it's pretty much your old GT single player, come first to progress or bugger off home. There's no sense of a race weekend or a race event around it. Now, to be fair, that exact same criticism can be labelled pretty much at Assetto Corsa, but Assetto Corsa makes all for it with its physics engine. Project Cars 2 isn't quite where Assetto Corsa is in terms of physics. It's better than GT in terms of physics, but it gives you that race weekend feel, and it's got so much content, it's absurd. Where GT has pushed forward massively is that they really are pushing the online racing element of it. Now, one thing I do recall from the pre-launch blurb around this was how there'd be lots of different tournaments, which there is, without a shadow of a doubt, but also they'd be looking for, handicapping systems or something of that like to make it, everybody has a chance of winning something. And I very much don't get the flavour of that coming through in it. It's very much quickest wins, which is understandable, but it's not quite what seemed to be being hinted at before launch. One thing they also promised not to do before launch was add in microtransactions, and they have. The vast majority of the cars now you can buy, rather than grinding for them in-game, you can buy with real money. That leaves a sour taste in my mouth, being perfectly honest, when the rest of the genre is moving quite rapidly towards a case of, yes, you've got a career progression system and you can unlock cars in that, but you've also got a free play mode or time trial mode where you can have a go with anything you want, and all the cars and all the tracks are unlocked. It's not the case in GTS, and it is quite grindy in that regard. Rally's improved since launch. Rally was unplayable, the physics were a mess at launch around Rally. It bore no resemblance to how cars drive on dirt at all. That has improved, but being perfectly honest, they've improved it and then done nothing with it. The rally cars and the rally tracks are, to a large degree, pretty much pointless. And please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've ever been used in any of the online events, the tournament side of things at all. So it's kind of like there for what? I don't know. No damage model in it. So, in a nutshell, it's a confusing one. I still come back to GT Sport every now and again, but purely for the VR side of things, and even that's limited to time trial. The physics have improved, but they're still behind everything else on the market in its genre. The force feedback is still not brilliantly implemented. Sound has got a lot better. Yeah, it's definitely a step forward. A half step forward, arguably, for the Gran Turismo series, but it does leave me somewhat cold still, I've got to be honest. So a year on, has it improved? Yes, absolutely it has. Has it improved enough to make it interesting to me? No, not really. I still get far more out of AC, Project Cars 2, and if I want a rally fix, then Seblobe Rally Evo or Dirt Rally are still the places to go. So as such, if you buy into, and I know a lot of people do, the online tournament side of things, I can understand there's a hell of a lot to enjoy there. The physics make it very accessible, but it doesn't appeal to me massively. So yes, it's improved, but I just don't think Gran Turismo Sport is the title for me. So there we go, a year on from launch of GTS. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you think about Gran Turismo Sport in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this, please do like away, and if you want to see some more like this, then please do hit that subscribe button. Thanks very much. Bye.